So another day, another surprise update, which is welcome in my opinion, but today's update wasn't necessarily too attractive of an update. No weapon tuning that adjusts the meta for Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, no new maps added or anything like that, but instead, there's still a handful of important changes to the gameplay loop that we're going to be discussing here in this one. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. What are you hoping to see out of the upcoming updates in the future? I know we mentioned this and talked a little bit about it as of yesterday with some of the changes coming for mid-season, but is there anything in particular that you're really hoping to see either before mid-season or at the mid-season update? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. As well, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related. But for now, let's jump into it. So firstly, today's update was not a title update. Instead, it might actually be one of those ones that was rather missable. It was just a playlist and hotfix update. So when you boot up the game for the first time, or if you had it open as it went out, it'll just simply prompt you with saying update requires restart, which sure can be annoying, but definitely beats having to wait a certain amount of time for the update to download, and then if you're on PlayStation, for it to copy again before you can jump into the game once more. The following, though, for the information here can be found at the Season 2 patch notes page, adjusted with the updated patch notes as of today. But firstly, with this update, we saw some fixes to known crashing issues. This is a big one because stability obviously is something that will always be worked on. It's something that we have influxes of new problems that get ironed out, and seemingly every single title update introduces some new ones here with this. So we're working on ironing out what we saw with Season 2. I'd say the gameship.exe crashing issue has come back into the wild as of lately, seemingly in a lot of different instances. I feel kind of lucky that I've dodged this one again as of Season 2, because if you guys remember, there was the entire month of January where I could not play for more than 5 minutes because of this game crashing issue. So as of today's update, with them stating they did fix stability a little more, fingers crossed that took care of some of the issues that popped up once again since Season 2, but right now still a little too early to tell just exactly the extent of what they ironed out with that. So fingers crossed, but stability is always a concern, always going to be expanded upon. We're going to see those consistently with these updates we end up getting. As for some specific bug fixes, we saw general fixes to the social menus where they fixed an issue causing recent players list to appear non-responsive after using the search feature. Maps, we saw various geo and collision issues on Ashika Island fixed out. That's something that can be problematic. Enemy combatants, they fixed an issue with the AI not being damaged by the gas, seemingly both for Resurgence and Ashika Island, as we'll touch on in a second, because the data heist event is now live in that, but also likely for DMZ as well. Haven't had the ability to play too much DMZ to know for sure if that was something that was fixed out, but obviously when the gas or the radiation comes in for Ashika Island as well as Al Mazrah, that's something that the bots should end up reacting to that as well, but fixed an issue with that. For the Battle Pass, they improved quick equip features for the Battle Pass and improved general navigation and usability of the Battle Pass itself. Now, as for Warzone 2.0 in particular, we saw additional bug fixes where they fixed an issue impacting visibility of contract icons on the TAC map. Definitely nice, though personally I didn't experience that all that much. Maybe you guys have oppositely. In Battle Royale in particular, they fixed an issue preventing players from redeploying if they were in last stand when Resurgence timer was disabled. So kind of just that crossover of how it all worked out, ending the Resurgence window and not necessarily having it work exactly how it should. And then DMZ in particular, we saw an issue that was fixed with the death from above mission not tracking properly with teammates. Something that, again, as with a lot of DMZ contracts, if you or your teammates do the action that is required, even if you or they don't have that contract equipped, it can end up counting towards whoever did have that challenge equipped. So definitely a nice thing as well to see that fixed out overall. And then finally, in some updates in particular for Battle Royale, we saw improved visibility to the data heist contract objectives on Ashika Island, and they've reduced the scale of AI combatant reinforcements during said data heist contract on Ashika Island. That's something that I'm always going to be for. Like, I get, yeah, AI is kind of one of the big things that they marketed with Modern Warfare 2 and everything like that. But for me, I absolutely understand having the AI in DMZ. That's kind of the whole purpose. You want some sort of challenge in DMZ. But for Battle Royale, I just feel like the AI, especially what we've seen of it so far, has always come in waves of overkill, where firstly with Al Mazrah and the launch of Warzone 2, we seem to just have way too many AI across the world, both from COD Next all the way up to even when the mode launched itself. But with Ashika Island, same thing kind of happened here with the data heist contract and what we saw with those initial numbers. So for Battle Royale in particular, I'm all for reduction in scaling for that kind of stuff. DMZ, I understand you want to have more AI than not, but I mean, for Battle Royale in particular, I like this change. DMZ, we saw various performance improvements to the DMZ on Ashika Island. They fixed an exploit allowing players to retain loadouts between DMZ matches. Obviously, while I think it would be nice to kind of have that sort of all-encompassing inventory that you could take between games, right now as it is set up and runs, you do have things that do get deleted every single match that goes towards cash, that goes towards your cooldown times. So if you were able to end up keeping those items game over game, that does provide an unfair advantage. So that was something that was fixed. They also finally stated they fixed an exploit allowing duplication of teammate dog tags, which depending on which kind of dog tags you have, based off of your exfil streak, you could end up netting yourself a decent amount of cash just for quite literally nothing for doing that. So that's something that was fixed out as well. And then finally, they rounded out this patch notes talking about recently implemented changes. The only one they noted, we'll expand on this a little further, was DMZ and having some moderate changes to the AI combatant damage that reduced the lethality across Al Mazrah and Ashika Island in DMZ in particular. Again, big part here with that is that this change was only to DMZ. Unfortunately, we still end up having to deal with the AI in Battle Royale on Ashika Island and Resurgence, as well as in Al Mazrah, but that's something that this change was only for DMZ. So we'll see how that all works out. Again, in time, that's one of those things that we can't really tell right off of patch notes and taking it at face value. We'll have to see with actual in-game experience and time overall. So I'd imagine we can kind of come to a general consensus within the next 48 to 72 hours, perhaps, on if this change was enough to it. But beyond that, we also saw fixes for additional kicked for inactivity fixes in the range of game types. That's something that I've seen across the board. I've seen it in ranked play, which was obviously something that was pretty bad, because then if you were getting kicked in ranked play, it stated that you ended up getting a suspension out of that. So that's something that was game side, not necessarily your connection or anything like that. It was just a bug that would happen and penalize players for that. I saw an MP in particular. I literally just loaded into a game at one point and ran for it, and then boom, kicked for inactivity. So thankfully that, of course, doesn't have a suspension penalty with it, but I mean, to see that happen across the board is just irritating. So we saw some fixes implemented for that should hopefully now have that entirely ironed out. And then finally, as we mentioned a couple of times in this video, talking about the data heist public event, that was finally introduced here as of an update in the last 2 days or so, I want to say, where you have to find and steal enemy intel laptops to complete that challenge. Meaning the only thing that we have left in season for Ashika Island, seemingly, if I'm not mistaken, is the redeploy drones coming again, probably at mid-season. I can't remember off the top of my head if that new Rusher AI is introduced just yet. That might be in there as well, but that's some additional fixes we saw as of late. Now, all in all, we're chipping away at the updates that I feel are definitely required for this game at the moment after season 2. Absolutely, there still could be additional work for stability, bug fixes, and all things that maybe even come down to fundamental gameplay loop items, but for now, that's where we're at. Personally, I've taken less interest in update videos in the last few years. Last year, I mean, we barely touched on any updates as they happened, but I'm happy to be able to discuss these things in the current state, because it means even if slowly, we are moving forward to some degree and getting things on track. So I'll take surprise updates absolutely as of late, but that said, that is where we're at. That is everything that changed with today's update. So let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys liking these changes made so far? Do you think that it's necessary? Do you think that we hopefully will see some bigger changes here upcoming before the mid-season update? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name's been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.